Hello and welcome to another edition of the Waterballing podcast with myself, Gary, and I'm joined today by Ant. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, really good. Thanks very much.
Spot on, spot on. We're going to be chatting about the top five flops in the Premier League so far this season. Ant's compiled a nice little list of this, and we're just going to have a chat about it and just let's see who you've got on the list, Ant. So who's number five then?
Yeah, number 5 is Jamal Lewis from Newcastle. Signed from Norwich. I remember last season watching, and I know Norwich went down; they were terrible. But I thought Jamal Lewis was quite an outstanding player for Norwich, and thought he would go on to maybe play for England. Left back.
Yeah.
I thought he was a really, really good player. He's gone this season in Newcastle. I'm not sure if it's Newcastle style of play, but he just looks lost. He looks absolutely lost playing for them. He doesn't look as if he knows what he's doing yet. I don't know if it's because of his age or anything like that, but to go from, I'm going to go out and say this, Newcastle are a better side than Norwich. To sort of go to, a bigger side and look at worse players, saying something really. I don't think he's assisted any goals yet. He certainly hasn't scored any. Newcastle haven't kept many clean sheets. I would honestly say with Newcastle's play this season, they have to be thankful that they've got a very good goalkeeper this season, Carl Darlow. And he's just, for me, he's been poor. I think he's really been poor. He's just not settled. I don't think he's settled in the northeast. I think that might be something. I mean, we'll go to COVID. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of players who've obviously moved due to COVID, can't go home, because of lockdown restrictions, and that might be affecting him. That he's not being able to see his family and things like that. You don't know what goes through young players' heads. You know what I mean? It's so it might be a little bit harsh, but I just think he's been very poor for Newcastle this season in what is, yes, a poor Newcastle United side, but there's a lot of potential in there to be better than where they are. But they've obviously, might be due to the manager, might be due to whatever really, but they haven't really set the world alight, and I think he's been poor.
I mean, I agree with you, to be fair. Like, you look at that Norwich team last year, you got Max Aarons at right back, and then you got Jamal Lewis at left back. Then you got Ben Godfrey. Obviously, Godfrey's moved on to Everton. Like, they had a good youth setup, and it was good to see those players getting like a chance in the Premier League. But like, I don't think you can really judge Jamal Lewis on his form last season for Norwich, because let's be honest, Norwich just, they weren't at the races for pretty much every single game they had in the Premier League. They wanted to give a chance to the young kids.
No, but he looked an outstanding player, didn't he?
Oh,
I think
like
everyone
him,
had
Max
said
Aarons.
once Norwich had gone down, Lewis will go somewhere. He'll go somewhere, and Newcastle picked him for 15 million. And you look at Newcastle's side, Alan Saint-Maximin on the left hand side, and alongside with Jamal Lewis, you think, what a left-sided partnership that's going to be. And it just, for one reason or another, it hasn't come to fruition really.
Yeah, he doesn't feel like he does much in a game. Like, whereas you look at other fullbacks, I mean, it's probably not the style. Maybe it is the style of play. Maybe the style of play doesn't suit Jamal Lewis, which Bruce likes to play.
Oh, I'll happily blame Steve Bruce for it. Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Like, you'd think he's 23. He's got like his future massively ahead of him. But I just think, like, I think he will become a good player. But I just don't know if he's going to become a good player in Newcastle's side, in my honest opinion. But that's just me. I mean, I don't really see him contributing much at the moment. Like, that's not me dissing the player and saying he's not a good player. He just hasn't hit the heights which you would expect of a 23-year-old British talent.
I just wonder if the move was a bit too big for him. I mean, obviously, I'm a Sunderland fan. You're a Sunderland fan. We can kind of accept Newcastle are in football a huge club. Yeah. However, they're a sleeping giant kind of thing. They've never hit the kind of heights that they think that they have. But it would have been nice. It would have been nice to see if Lewis had gone to someone like Southampton or somewhere where the pressure's not, you're instantly under pressure when you sign for Newcastle because of what the fan base in the northeast is like. I mean, you look at where I'm a Sunderland fan. You look at Will Grigg. The pressure was immediately on Will Grigg to do well for Sunderland, and he hasn't done it. And it's the same with Newcastle. Look at Joe Linton, huge example. Joe Linton came with a massive potential, massive name, and he hasn't done it either. So it's immediately the pressure goes on you when you're signing for a team in the northeast. Yeah. So it might be that, but he definitely needs to improve.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I agree with that, 100%. But maybe in the future he might be a good player. I just don't think he's going to see his future at Newcastle United, if I'm being honest with you. But that's me. So who you got at number 4 then?
Yeah, number 4 again, a young lad, and again might be harsh, but I'm going on the kind of the money they paid for him. It's Ryan Brewster from Sheffield United. Signed from Liverpool for £23 million, which is a lot of money. we did obviously the best signings, and we're on about Ollie Watkins for 33 million and how well he's done.
Yeah.
Now Ryan Brewster on the other end of the spectrum, he's only a young lad, but he was at Swansea last season, and you could tell he was better than the Championship. He was scoring goals for fun at Swansea. He's gone to Sheffield United, hasn't scored at all season in the Premier League. Sheffield United have been dreadful. They've really been poor. They're picking it up the last few games, but I think they're already down. But Ryan Brewster just doesn't even look like he's going to score. He's getting into positions where you think he's just standing there. He's not really, looking as if he wants to get in. It's obviously a confidence thing with him. He just needs a goal, but for £23 million, it's been obviously Sheffield United have banked on him to score the bulk of their goals this season, and he hasn't scored any. So it's been a really poor signing, really, for all aspects, really.
Do you think Sheffield United as a whole, as a team, have been figured out as opposed to last season?
Yes, I do. But when you're spending £23 million on a strike, whether Ryan Bruce was the right man or not is a different topic of conversation. But when you're spending 23 million quid on a striker, you're hoping that he's going to be scoring goals by now, and he hasn't scored any. So it's been, this is just in statistics or in any form, really. It has been a flop. It's been a poor signing. I agree what you're saying. Sheffield United have been found out, but you would still expect a striker to have scored at least one goal for you by now.
100%, I agree with that. But again, Wilder has this whole philosophy where he again, much like a Norwich, he wants to bring in young British talent. Ryan Brewster is a young British talent. He spent 24 million on him, hasn't hit the heights. It just makes you think, though. I think Liverpool's got a 40 million buyback clause on him, so to Liverpool.
Yeah, he's obviously going to be a good player. Yeah. Whether it was the wrong move for him, if I was Wilder, and as what you're saying, going down to the Championship, he does pick up some good signings. I'd have gone a level down. I'd have gone to League One. I'd have gone for Ivan Toney. I personally think Ivan Toney's a Premier League level striker at the minute, especially for someone like Sheffield United, because he makes his own chances. Yeah. He gets into very good positions and he scores different types of goals. Whereas for what I saw with Brewster, he is more of a kind of attacking winger forward than a centre forward. Whereas Ivan Toney was a centre forward. That for me, I'd have probably spent 23 million on bringing Toney in. And I probably think Toney would have scored more, certainly more than none for Sheffield United this season. So it's just been an all-around poor sign.
I think Ivan Toney, absolutely fantastic signing for Brentford. 22 games, 16 goals in the Championship.
He's a level above. He's a level above. He's a fantastic player. I've seen him play for Peterborough, scoring goals for fun, and he is a really good player. I hate to say it because he's ex-Newcastle, but he is a tremendous player.
No, he's class for Peterborough.
Could go a long way. Go a long way as well.
I think he's got the potential to do so. He's only 24 years old, so got the potential to do so. And you're looking at a player like Ryan Brewster as well, who is he's 20 years old, Tony's 4 years older. Mm. But if the lad wants to play in the Premier League, he kind of needs to pick up his arse a bit and
definitely,
pull it out a little bit for the team, because right now he's not. Sheffield United are looking like they're most likely going to go down next season, and if Ryan Brewster stays with that team, which I think he will, that might be a good thing for him long term. Yeah. But right now, not worth the 23.5 million they paid for him. Who's your number 3 then, Ant?
Yeah, number 3 is a Manchester United player, Donny van de Beek, signed for £35 million. I was expecting Van de Beek to be with Bruno Fernandes and ticking over the Manchester United midfield, and he's barely played. Another one, barely played. I don't know if Ole doesn't. I'm not sure what Ole wanted to sign him for Man United. I think it was a Manchester United signing, not an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signing. But he's just not. he's just not played, so I can't really give you an opinion on him because I've never seen him play that many times this season. The fact that Man United are playing well now this season with Bruno, Pogba, Scott McTominay playing in the midfield, yeah, it's hard to see where Van der Beek's going to fit in now for the rest of the season. And for 35 million quid, it's an absolute waste of money for me, and he'd have been far better off just staying where he was. And I don't think his agent helped himself, because I think his agent said quite early on the season that he's frustrated and not playing and things like that. Well, you know, there's got to be a reason why he's not getting a game for Man United. So it's been a really, really poor signing for them.
I agree. I think long term though, Donny van der Beek is going to be a brilliant signing. Maybe not necessarily for Man United, but for another club, because he is only 23 years old. Ajax do have a fantastic youth academy. Like you look at some of the players who Ajax have had, who have went on and became brilliant players. Like Frankie de Jong, for example, Barcelona, fantastic. I think they have signed him with the premise that long term he is going to be a good player because he is only 23 years old. Right now, probably sort of expected a little bit more from him, but when you look at their midfield, you've got Pogba, Fernandes, Fred, McTominay.
Yeah,
they are.
Here's a question for you, Gary. Here's a question for you. Did you think Man United signed him because they thought Pogba was going?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why. If you're, I mean, I'm not saying I'm, like an expert in, buying players, selling players, you know what I mean? But why would you sign somebody when you've still got his potential replacement in the team? It didn't make any sense to me, the signing. When they signed him, I thought, where's he going to play?
Yeah.
He's not going to out Bruno from the side. He's not going to probably, Pogba. Now, on his day, Pogba's one of the best players in the world, but he doesn't have his day that often for Man U. But I just think he was signed with an idea to replace Pogba, and that hasn't happened. So what was the point? I just don't see the point of them signing him.
But I don't think Pogba will be there still next season. I think long term he is Pogba's replacement. Didn't Pogba's agent Raiola come out and say that he is imminently going to leave the club or something a couple of weeks ago?
Well, Pogba's been imminently leaving the club since he signed, so I'm not sure who to believe on that one. But yeah, I mean, like I say, going back to Van der Beek, I just can't. I don't know where Man United are going to play him for the rest of the season. So he'll probably go down as the worst sign of the season. He's only my number 3 at the minute because we've got half a season left. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure with him at all. Really not sure.
Nah, I think long term he'll be a good signing if they stick by him, but they need to stick by him for him to be a good signing. If they decide to pie him off and send him out on loan for season upon season, he might kind of like get lost in the mix. But who knows? I do think long term, I think he will become a good signing, though. Maybe not this season, maybe next.
Hopefully for him, because it's not nice to see what's happened, but it's just like I said, it's been a weird signing for me. A very, very weird signing.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have probably had that one.
Fair enough. Who's your number 2 then?
Yeah, number 2 was a free transfer, and it's Willian for Arsenal. When Arsenal signed him, obviously he's being signed as Mesut Ozil's replacement long term, but he has been absolutely shocking. Every time I've watched Arsenal, I remember his first game actually when he played Fulham, and he set up 2. They won 3, and he thought, it's going to work this. But he's not done anything since then. I don't think he's assisted one. He's not scored. He's been absolutely shocking. And he's basically gone there because he's on a huge contract, and he's just literally laughing his way to the bank. He's been absolutely dreadful. It's been such a bad signing, and it's probably naivety from Arteta to sign someone like Willian on a free. There's a reason why Chelsea didn't want to keep him, because his work rate's shocking. He's capable of being tremendous on his day, but his day is very few and far between, and he's been absolutely useless for them. Really, really poor, and it's been such a letdown for Arsenal's sake, really, because I've always liked watching Arsenal, and we're seeing someone who's not particularly giving it 100%. is quite disgraceful, to be honest. I think it's just been disgusting for them, been awful.
I do not disagree with that. I mean, when that signing came out, I remember us talking like between the lads and stuff, and I remember personally saying he's on what 240 grand a week, after before tax, and like that's just a waste of talent. Like that's a waste of money which you could invest in the younger talents at Arsenal. And I was like, I could see them personally with him and Ozil. Obviously, granted, Ozil's got Fenerbahce now, but with him and Ozil on the books, them two wages alone, I could have seen Arsenal in serious financial trouble. Like, I mean, you're looking at Willian now. If anything, he's coming off the bench. He's the second highest earner for Arsenal. Thomas
But why
Partey.
not just keep Ozil? If you're going to have someone like that, why not just keep Ozil?
Yeah.
Obviously what's gone on with Ozil, what has gone on, what hasn't gone on, we don't know about. But, you look at what Ozil had said in his leaving statement, he'll always be a gunner. It's obviously it wasn't that Ozil didn't want to play for Arsenal. Obviously something has gone on. But why on earth would you go and sign someone like Willian? Why would you not just...
32 years old as well.
32 years of age. I mean, he'd be laughing. I mean, I don't blame Willian for signing. He'd be laughing all his way to the bank, 250 grand a week. It's superb. But
do you know how much his annual salary is going to be a year for Arsenal?
I'm not a mathematician, mate, but it'd be huge. Yeah, 8 million or something?
10.
Yeah, so
like
you can.
Uber and Partey are on joint 13 million a year. Willian last season made 7.2 million Great British pounds in salary, like for the year of 2020. He's laughing like he was earning more than Aubameyang before Aubameyang signed a new contract.
Yeah. And you look at how important Aubameyang is to Arsenal. The talisman. You would think, he's worth. Well, is anyone worth that money? But that's a different question. But he's probably earned his worth. Whereas this season for a struggling Arsenal side, I know they've turned it around the last few weeks and they've been really good the last few weeks. But they've had to Arsenal have had to go and sign. Had to go to the youth and bring Emile Smith-Rowe in, bring Saka in and things like that, because Willian and likes of Willian and players haven't done their job. And for Arteta, which what Arteta probably should have done at the start of the season, just give Emile Smith-Rowe the chance. But that's another story.
100%. Like Saka's their best player this season. Like, obviously you look at Uber and you look at Partey, who are massive names, but Saka's the standout player for me this season. Like, and they're getting Martinelli back as well, which is great. But
and they've just signed Odegaard as well, haven't they, from Real Madrid, which will be if he hits the ground running, he'll be a tremendous signing. That'll be really, really good for Arsenal. And then where's Willian going to play then? He's not going to play at all, is he? So they're going to be giving someone 250 grand just to sit on the bench.
100%. I mean, if we had an Arsenal fan on this, I'd love to know what they thought about Willian, because 15 games he's played and he's done nout. Literally done nout.
2 assists. I think he's got 2 assists in total, and that was in his first game. So literally, he's done nothing since. He's just sat and just done nothing since. So
take wage, 197 grand a week net.
If you gave me that, I'd happily do nothing.
I'd run around like a blue arse fly for 10 grand. Really, I don't care. But I totally agree with Willian. I would probably, in my honest opinion, I probably would have had him at number 1, just simply because of his age, his wage, and the fact that he's done nothing. But speaking of number 1, who you got at number 1?
I've done a joint number 1, if that's all right.
Aye,
and they're both Chelsea players, Tino Werner and Kai Havertz. I feel bad for Havertz because I know he's only a kid and he has been played out of position for Chelsea. But when he signed again, he was another one. I was thinking, where is he going to play? Because he's he's just off the striker normally. Chelsea don't play that. So he's been playing in all sorts of different positions for Chelsea. Granted, he hasn't done very well in any of them positions, but I kind of think. But the problem is they signed him for 72 million quid, so you kind of expect him to hit the ground running, So I do feel bad about putting him in, but he hasn't been up to his game. He's not obviously not up to the pace of the football yet, but he's been shocking, and he needs to find his position very quickly. Obviously Tuchel coming in at Chelsea, I think will be good for him. Whether it's good for Chelsea is a different matter, but whether it'll be good for Havertz, I think. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. Werner, you can give Havertz, the benefit of youth. Werner, and I just don't think Werner's that good. And I just don't. He was in a good team at RB Leipzig, scored a lot of goals for RB Leipzig. But you look at Leipzig, the way they play, they probably have about 20 shots on goal all in every game they play, and they're just reckless abandon. They're a fantastic team to watch. If you ever get a chance to watch them, they're tremendous. So he's going to score goals for them because they're going to create a lot of chances for him. Whereas this season under a Chelsea team who aren't, the more defensively based, really, he hasn't been good. And again, 48 million quid, so that's 120 million quid Chelsea have spent on 2 players. And Werner's only got 4 goals. Havertz has only got 3, and that was in a cup game.
That was all one game, wasn't it?
That's 120 million, and more than likely, that's probably what's cost Lampard his job in them signings, because he's expecting them to hit the ground running, and they haven't done it. He's had to rely on Oliver Giroud, who he'd frozen out. He's had to rely on him getting most of the goals. He's had to rely on playing Mason Mount every game. Mount's done really well. Don't get us wrong, he's a really good player. But I'm sure he would have wanted to alternate Mount and Havertz, but he's had to play Mount every game because Mount's been playing relatively well without scoring many goals, but he's been ticking them over. And it's, like I said, it's probably what's cost Lampard his job, because you look on paper, they should be in the top 3, top 4, and they haven't done it, with the signings that they've got and plus the players that they already had. And, going back to Havertz, I was so excited about seeing him this season, but then looking at how Chelsea play, I was like, where's he going to play? And it's proven he's had to play, left midfield, right midfield, and hopefully he can improve as the season goes on. But so it's both of them to answer your question.
Havertz and Werner.
Yeah.
They haven't been great. Let's be honest, they haven't. Again, you go back to style of play. I think you're very right in what you're saying. On paper, if you put in Ziyech, Pulisic, and Havertz behind Timo Werner, that is frightening. That is a frightening front four. I don't think Havertz has been fully fit, but I think he's too soft for the English game at the moment. He is a young lad, looked at as the Germany's golden boy since the days of Michael Ballack.
Yeah, he's been shown as the new Michael Ballack, hasn't he? But Chelsea don't play him in his position. Whereas when any team Michael Ballack played for, he played in his preferred position, whereas Havertz hasn't. So I am giving Havertz a little bit of praise, not praise, but I am letting him off a little bit.
Yeah, he's not been great.
Cost £72 million and hasn't done it, surely goes down as a flop so far. Anyway,
right now,
and hence the question of answering the question really.
I mean, yeah, I think you're right there. They paid 70 million for Kepa as well, and Kepa's deemed a flop. So why not deem Havertz a flop at the same price tag? Timo Werner, I was a massive fan of him at Leipzig, and I think personally, in all honesty, I think we'll see him back at Leipzig next season if he doesn't hit heights. I think he'll be on loan. I think Tuchel's the right man to get the best out of players like Havertz, Rudiger as well, and Werner. I think he's the right man to do that. Is long term as Tuchel the answer there? I don't know. I think he's a short term answer to get the best out of near enough £150 million spent on 2 signings.
Yeah, and that's why they've brought Tuchel in, hasn't it? Just because they've got 2 Germans there who haven't done it, and he's a German coach.
And Tuchel has a reputation for moulding young talent. Ousmane Dembele went to Barcelona for 100 odd million at the time. I think it was one of the world record transfers.
Yeah.
He has a habit of getting the best out of young players, and Werner and Havertz are both very young still. Only 24 years old, Werner. Havertz, I'm sure he's 20, Havertz.
Yeah.
Got massive futures. Again, all of that will stem on how he develops at Chelsea. 21, sorry, Havertz, 21. Will all depend on how he develops at Chelsea under Tuchel. I agree with the price tag. It's near enough 150 million for 2 players, and I can see why you would deem them flops. Werner, I think he will become good, and I think Havertz will become good, but not this season. So that's just my honest opinion.
Yeah, cool.
Any honourable mentions there?
Honourable mentions? Nah, not really. I think that's what maybe Gedson Fernandes for Tottenham. I know he was signed last season on an 18-month loan, but again, he was signed as a Christian Eriksen replacement and hasn't played. So that's probably one of them. The lad Fabio Silva at Wolves hasn't quite done it yet, but he's only a kid, so I'll let him off.
He's a long-term prospect, him.
Yeah,
I'm very surprised, though, that...
I'd probably agree with that.
I'm surprised that Gareth Bale hasn't been mentioned, I've got to be honest.
He's a loan, though, isn't he? He's a loan signing, so... he's another one with Bale. He was another one where it was like, where are you going to play him? You know, they've got Son there, who's one of the best players in the world at the minute. So where are you going to play Gareth Bale? I'd let him off because he's on loan. So I'm kind of like letting him off a little bit. Yeah, bar that, I'm trying to go through the teams and see who's really flopped. Who else? Yeah, I think that's been pretty comprehensive. Ziyech maybe for Chelsea, although he's been injured, hasn't quite hit the ground running. But he's the bother is with Ziyech, when I've seen him play, I've been a fan of him, so I can't really say he's been a flop. Plus he's been injured. Man City signing's been class, so they've been all right.
Unless you want to say Nathan Ake, but he's been injured, like.
Yeah, but
he's never going to get in that team though now, because it's going to be John Stones and Diaz.
No, I mean, I feel a bit sorry for Nathan Ake because John Stones was probably going to be the fall guy for that signing, and John Stones has been an absolute revelation this season. So that's a little bit unlucky on Ake. No. I tell you what though, he cost a lot of money, so maybe, but no, I wouldn't change me 5, to be honest.
Nah, I agree, but for me, I probably would have had Willian top. I think Willian's been disgraceful for Arsenal. Like, I mean,
the fact that he didn't cost a fee, I think, saved him from being number one. Well, the fact that Chelsea have paid 120 odd million on 2 players who have a combined total of 4 Premier League goals this season, I think is poor.
Yeah, I mean, but like if you look at a list of players who haven't really hit the heights, there's a couple from Arsenal. There's Willian, that goalkeeper Runarsson. They played in 1 game, and I think they're getting rid of him now. William Saliba, they've got rid of him. Him and Gabriel was meant to be there in future defence.
Yeah,
what's happened with that?
He's been poor as well, Gabriel, hasn't he?
What's happened with William Saliba? They say his attitude's bad. Like, Nicola Pepe had a go at him on Twitter and said, "This is why you don't play, because your attitude's crap." Like, a lot of flops are coming from Arsenal's perspective here. Like,
that's just been Arsenal in the years, though, hasn't it? You know, they sign these young players and not many of them make it. You know, fingers crossed. You know, I like the Odegaard sign, and I must admit, I think that's going to be a good signing. But we'll probably talk about this at the end of the season, and you know what though, it will take a lot to change my top 5 at the end of the season if we do this again. It will take a lot.
Well,
you know, Jamal Lewis, I think, might have been a little bit unlucky to get in. Ryan Brewster possibly slightly unlucky to get in, but find me 2 worse ones than that. You know, like you say, Gareth Bale, maybe. We'll see at the end of the season though. You know, but it'll be a tough one to break into that top 5, I think.
Well, fair enough. Well, yeah, we'll probably have a look at it again at the end of the season. But no, thanks for joining us today, and
thank you very much. Cheers.
Been good catching up and having a bit of banter about the beautiful game.